I I decided to go in a different direction. I was gonna do the engine Chevy Orange like always. Then I've done it a lot. I mean, I got a Chevy Orange engine in that thing, and I had it in this particular car, the '65 Impala. For 20 years, it had a Chevy Orange engine in it. Now I want to do something different. So I got a little crazy and decided to do something a little bit off the wall, and maybe it'll be controversial, I'm sure. The color I picked out is it's different for sure. But if you see my plan, listen to my plan as I tell you what I'm doing, and you'll understand. And then we'll see what you think. Let me know. Have fun. So, why is my engine kind of halfway upside down? I decided I wanted something different. I've been doing Chevy Orange engines forever. The GMC over there has got a Chevy Orange engine, and the car that this is going into is a '65 Impala SS. It was originally Evening Orchid, and if you look up Evening Orchid, it kind of looks like a pink champagne color. 1965 was the only year for it. It's kind of a rare color, I guess, because it was only a one-year only color. Pontiac used the same color. They called it Iris Mist. So once in a while, you'll see like a GTO, '65 GTO in that color as well. And I do believe it was a little more rare on GTOs or Pontiacs, anyways. So I wanted to do something different. The engine under the hood is always black, right? Black firewall, black fender wells, black radiator support. I thought about doing the firewall of the car when I repaint it in the matching color of the rest of the car, which is Evening Orchid, but then I decided no. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with the firewall yet, but I wanted to do something different, and I thought Chevy Orange in a car that's kind of pink champagne color looking is, well, it's not going to work. So I just didn't think it looked right, and I wanted something different. So I decided to paint it. So what I'm doing right now, this is the BluePrint Engines 400 I've been working on. I've been scuffing it. I'm just using these. These are red Scotch-Brite Bodyworks type Scotch-Brites for bodywork, and you can get them in different grits. This one says fine right on it. And what I'm going to do is I cut a piece into quarters, and I'm just going through and I'm scuffing all the orange paint that BluePrint Engines put on this. And they do a really nice job when they paint these engines. I wish they would paint the oil pans to match, but that's another discussion. Anyhow, I'm going to change out the oil pan as well. I'm going to do something different. I want something with some baffling in it for how I'm going to be driving the car. So I'm scuffing it. And what does this do? Well, it helps give the new paint color a base. And then I'm going to have to mask it all off, and that's where it's going to take the most time because I want to mask it all off. You want to really spend the time to do that. Get your razor blade out, mask every little square inch, nook and cranny that you don't want painted, and that's going to make the difference in how well it looks when you're done. You know, I'm sure you guys seen guys do the rattle can rebuild under the hood of their car, and they got overspray on everything. Well, I don't want mine to look like that. So I'm scuffing it, and I'm rotating the engine over as I go. And then I'm going to be masking off the oil pan, the timing cover, the heads. I'm not painting the heads. I never liked painted aluminum heads. That's just taste. So, and it's hard to get the paint to stick to some of the stuff like this polished surfaces that they have on the front of the heads. It's almost polished, so it's tough to get. You really have to rough it up pretty good to get the paint to stick. This rougher casting here, that's pretty easy to get it to stick. But I don't know. I just never thought it looked right. So, and I'm going to be changing out the valve covers as well to something different. I haven't decided yet. I was kind of wanting to do something a little vintage, maybe with the original Chevrolet script that they used to use in the mid-60s on the valve covers. Something I can find like that. Anyway, as I'm scuffing along, and then I'm going to take some lacquer thinner and just kind of wipe all the dust and blow it off, and then wipe it down with some lacquer thinner, and then I'm going to mask it and shoot it. And I'll show you as I go along. Okay, it's about 2 hours later, I guess, or an hour and a half later. I don't want to bore you with taping and scuffing and taping are boring, but as you can see, I taped off everything I don't want painted. I should have probably done this before I assembled half the damn engine, but you know, that's it. So, what I did, how do you get an automotive paint in a spray can? Well, this is PPG products, the local Auto Value, and here in town in Kearney is a PPG automotive paints specialist. So they carry these paints, and for a fee, they will actually mix up a can and put it in a spray can for you, as you can see here. Well, there we go. That is PPG Evening Orchid. Now these aren't cheap. These aren't like $7 for a can of automotive, you know, that you find at a local parts store for some of the colors they have. And we're talking about a color that was a 1 year only, and it was made 55 years ago. So these are about $25 a can. So be aware of what you're doing. I took a starter shim and I shot it. As you can see, it's kind of it's a little hard to see in this light. That's what it is, Evening Orchid. Getting it over this color, I probably should primer it first. Maybe I will. I think I'll primer it first. I think I will primer it first. Though I was told not to, but I think to get the color coverage over it, I think it might be better if I did. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Anyway. And I primed it. The color I'm going to this Evening Orchid is pretty light, and I want to have coverage over that orange, Chevy orange, which is a pretty bright color. So I decided to prime it and shoot it. I think I'll shoot it now. See what I get with the first coverage. Well, kind of got it figured out. These particular spray cans they use, you got to really push down on them, otherwise you're not going to get all the paint out. It's going to come out like different layer, like paint thinner or something, or the reducer just comes out. So you really got to get into it. So this is layer coat number 2. I'm going to let this dry for a while and then unmask it. I think I'm going to have a problem here because the tape came off the head, so I'm going to probably end up having to clean the head. Clean the paint off the head. That side was no big deal. Maybe a little bit there. See how that, there we go. See how that's kind of, and then, so. Alrighty, let's see what it looks like. I decided I had these chrome valve covers. These were chrome, obviously. And I decided I wanted to do something different. I like the Chevrolet script on it, but I didn't want chrome valve covers. So I sanded them and painted them. See how they work. I don't know how long the paint will stay on the chrome. I did cut the snot out of them before painting them and primed them, so hopefully that'll work. We'll see. Valve covers are easy to change. It's hard to see in this light. These LED lights are pretty harsh. But the valve covers came out pretty nice. I think I might want to color sand the not colors. Yeah, color sand. The valve covers make it look a little poppier. Came out looking pretty good, actually. It's completely different. That's for sure. It's way off my base. Though now the red plug wires don't really match, so I think I might have to go to black. Oh well. Yeah. I'm not buying new valve covers right now, so I guess I can afford just a set of plug wires. But yeah, I think I might do black plug wires now. With black brackets and pulleys, I think it'll look pretty good. Still need to get the oil pan. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there yet. The engine turned upside down and spilt a bunch of oil all over the floor because I have the valve covers off again. And I took the oil pan off, and you can see Blueprint engines, 4-bolt splayed main caps. Here are the 6-inch H-beam rods I was telling you about. These are ARP 8740 rod bolts. They're good for like about 1,000 horsepower, 800,000 horsepower, whatever. More than enough for what I'm doing with this engine. And then the new oil pan is this one from Champs. And the other one's is like a truck replacement. But I bought this one because it's got a trap door you can't see. It's underneath the windage tray. It's built in. It's even got a crank scraper over there. This is the stock truck pan I just took off. Nothing fancy. Does the job. But I want to see. They look about the same height, you know, right? And I did buy the pickup screen that matches the pan, but do I really want to go through the trouble of trying to get this pickup screen out of this milling pump? So we're using a piece of clay. This is a piece of old clay bar, detailing clay bar, which has actually been replaced by a $2 clay bar I bought at the hobby store. That's another story. And we're going to see the depth. So watch, I'm going to put the pan on. I'm just going to press down on the pan with the gasket on and see how close that is to the bottom of the pan. Pan pressed down as best we could. The gasket's holding it up a bit, so we'll see what we get. Okay, so we took the pan back off, and as you can see, it's about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch depth, which is about what you want. So I think I might just box up the return and the pickup screen that came with the pan and that I bought separately, and return it to Summit, because I don't think I need to change that. So kind of what it looks like out in the sun. Wow. Alright, so I got the Vortec crank sensor on. It just slides on. But I had to measure the thickness of the... Let me pull this back off for a second. I had to measure the thickness of this crank sensor here. Reluctor wheel. Because that's how much it's going to push the balancer out. So I'm going to have my balancer milled so that it doesn't throw the pulley alignment off. Next is the timing cover. Got my balancer back from the machine shop. I had to have them mill 1/25 thousandths, so basically 1/8 of an inch off the nose of the balancer in order to get my pulleys to line up. Why? Because when I added the crank sensor to the front of the crank, it pushes the balancer out, which means the alignment with the rest of the pulleys was off. So now I'm going to put it back on and try to check everything, and hopefully my measurements are right, or I might be buying another balancer and starting over. I have this balancer installer kit. This is one of those I rented years ago from AutoZone, I believe, and if you didn't return it, you didn't get your money back. But I really liked it. It was getting to the point where I was using them so much that it got to a point where I should just buy one. So I bought it. What I liked about this one is that it actually has the plastic case with it. So if you're going to install a balancer, do it right. Use a installer balancer installer kit like this one, and I'll show you. So I have the balancer installer on, threaded into the balancer, and it just requires two tools, a big wrench and a crescent wrench to hold the center threaded part. It's super simple to put these on. Don't beat your balancer on because you'll screw up your thrust bearing, and then you'll have to refix your engine. So this is super simple. It takes about a couple minutes, and small block Chevys are fairly easy to put on. The toughest ones to put balancers on are big block Chevys for some reason. They seem to have a tighter interference fit, and it requires pretty good muscle to get them on. Fords are really easy. Chryslers are fairly easy. I used to install these for a living at a crate engine company, and we used to do them pretty quickly. LSs are not hard to get on, but 200 foot-pounds of torque for the crank bolt is a bit much. Anyway, I'll go ahead and put this on, and then we'll see if my pulley's lined up and my measurements are correct. Bouncer on, the pulley on. Everything's retorqued. And that is a much better alignment between the crank pulley and the water pump pulley. It could be a little bit off. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it was off by over 1/8 of an inch before. So this is going to be pretty good. This won't be throwing belts or squeaking. I do is I try to test fit as much stuff as possible while the engine is on the stand. Oops. Reason being is it's much easier to fix it before it goes into the engine compartment. Whether or not your brackets fit the bolt hole pattern on the heads, whether your pulleys, like I said before, pulley alignment, your accessory drive. This is all stuff you can take back off if you need to. Headers are very important. No matter if these are custom made. I made these myself about 12 years ago, but they were made for a different set of heads. Aftermarket heads have different spark plug spacing. So I was concerned. These headers were melt when I had an engine that had Edelbrock Super Victor heads. Those have a different combustion chamber than these Blueprint engines heads. As such, the spacing and the angle of the spark plugs changes. Believe it or not, even GM's heads change the spark plugs angle and spacing, especially between the two center ones, over the years. So this side is fine. Lots and lots of room. Lots and lots of room. No worries over here. But on the driver's side, we have another issue. So this one's a little. See, it's got a little closer there. But the 5 and 7 are pretty cozy with the pipes. See there. So what I'll end up doing is, I'll take the header off. I've already marked them, and I'll ding them out a little bit to give them a little more room. See, there's just needs a little more room in there so they don't get cooked when on the hot days. And I'm going to run those spark plug boot sleeves too, so to help as well. But see how the header gets pretty close to the oil filter. Want to make sure it doesn't hit the motor mounts down there. See. Motor mount on this side, plenty of room on this side. But on the side, you want to check to see about starter fitment. So I had a huge regular GM starter when I built these headers, so there's tons of room here. And no problem there. So, next thing to do is to take some of the stuff off and install it in the engine compartment. And to that, when we get to it, that one's first. This baby is first with that one.